Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And something that we talked about earlier this year was a partnership between Hideo Kojima and Xbox. Now, this has the potential of being absolutely huge, but there has been some speculation about what exactly this game is. And, well, now Hideo Kojima is actually publicly talking about not only one game, but two games, and it does kind of lean into some of those rumors that we talked about earlier this year. So we will go over that one today. Now, it also does seem like yet another highly anticipated game that's releasing in 2022 did leak out online, or at least the release date, so we're going to go over that one today as well. First, though, we're going to be talking about Remedy Entertainment, which it just sounds like that they have a lot going on in development right now. Of course, this is the studio behind Control and Alan Wake, so they do an exceptional job with their single-player content. But if you start looking at what they have going on, I mean, you have Alan Wake 2 in development. They're also working on Crossfire X's single-player campaign, which actually should be out relatively soon. And then they also have a mysterious project in development, as well as Vanguard. And, well, we did actually get some new details today about their upcoming cooperative multiplayer game codenamed Vanguard. And that's because Remedy has now signed a global development license distribution agreement with Tencent. Now, this is something that we have talked about here recently because Tencent is quietly expanding a lot into the game industry here recently. Now, unlike some other publishers, they're not just flat out acquiring all of these studios. I mean, they have acquired a few, but they've also been making a lot of investments in some of these really talented studios across the industry. This includes making investments with Platinum Games. They made an investment with the ukulele studio, Platonic Games. They've invested in Epic Games in the past, and now here they are working with Remedy Entertainment as well. I don't think people realize just how big Tencent has become in the game industry, but Daniel Ahmad actually pointed this out on Twitter that Tencent has acquired or invested in more than 100 video game related companies this year. He says that that's essentially one every 3 days, so that is quite significant. I don't really know what their end goal is just yet, but something that we did talk about earlier this year is that it does seem like that they're interested in game streaming. Maybe they are working on a game streaming service, and with all of these different investments and studios that they're bringing on, maybe they're going to try to incorporate these games into this upcoming streaming service that they are working on. We'll kind of see about all of that, but nonetheless, Vanguard does appear to be a cooperative style of game, which is a little bit different than what we've seen Remedy work on in the past, and Tencent here will localize and publish this game in Asian markets, plus they'll also be developing and publishing a mobile version. Yes, whatever this game is, will also be heading over to mobile devices, but Remedy Entertainment does have a lot going on, including the highly anticipated upcoming Alan Wake 2. Next up, it sounds like Atlus, the studio behind Persona and Shin Megami Tensei, has a major project in the works, and it could be revealed in 2022. Actually, it might even be released in 2022. But whether or not this game releases or not, they are hinting at something big happening in 2022. This is according to the Atlus product manager Shinjiro Takada, which, while talking about 2022 in an interview with Famitsu, said this: "I chose challenge as my keyword for 2022 in hopes to release a title to the world that will become a pillar for Atlus. The staff are working hard on development to make something that'll be interesting and satisfying for everyone. So I'd be happy if you could look forward to it." Now, this is really interesting for a few different reasons. One being, he very specifically said a pillar for Atlus. So this pretty much signifies that whatever he's alluding to here, it's going to be big, or at least they're hoping that it'll be big. And that's kind of the next keyword here that I want to zero in on. So I've seen a lot of speculation online that maybe they're set to reveal the next Persona game, or maybe they're going to be bringing back Etrian Odyssey. This has been a big title for them in the past, but with him saying hoping that this will be a pillar, it almost sounds like that whatever he's alluding to here is more than likely going to be a new IP. And interestingly enough, we do know that they've been working on a new IP for quite some time. Back in 2016, it was revealed that they are working on a project codenamed Fantasy. They did put together a completely new development team here called Studio Zero to work on whatever this game is, and while there's not really much known about this game specifically, there's actually some real talent that's working on this game. In fact, the director that worked on Persona 5 is working on whatever this game is, Project Fantasy. So again, with this game being in development for 5 years, it's got some real talent behind it. I kind of wonder if this is what they're alluding to here. I guess we'll kind of see, but I would not doubt at all if we get a new IP reveal from Atlus sometime in the near future, and whatever this game is, it sounds like it will be big. Now, speaking of Famitsu, they did survey 127 Japanese developers about their 2022 expectations, and this did include Hideo Kojima. Now, it's been a little while since we've seen a brand new Hideo Kojima game. Death Stranding did release back in 2019 for the PlayStation 4, and even though we did get that director's cut earlier this year, is that really all they've been working on for the last couple of years? With somebody as creative as Hideo Kojima, I highly doubt that, and he does seemingly confirm that here in this Famitsu interview. When asked about immediate plans, he did say this: 2 new games, big and challenging. Also in the near future, I want to take a step forward as the boundaries of entertainment blur and tackle new forms of media other than games. I assume here he's talking about movies, as earlier this year it was revealed that Kojima Studios will be working on movies as well as games. But then here, and I think this is a really interesting quote, when asked what he's paying attention to in 2022, check out his response: the year that video game streaming will change the industry. Providing these services will dramatically change engineering and business. This will be the year that you will notice these changes. Now, the reason that this is just so interesting is that this leans into the rumors that Hideo Kojima is in fact working with Xbox on a cloud-based game. Now, we've already kind of known that Hideo Kojima is indeed interested in cloud-based games because there was a report going around that Hideo Kojima was going to work with Google Stadia on some kind of episodic horror-based game. Now, this never came to fruition, but earlier this year, it was leaked that Hideo Kojima and Xbox formed some kind of partnership. And while right now there's not really much known about this game, it does appear that it could possibly be that cloud-based game that just didn't go forth with Google Stadia. Now, this would make a lot of sense, especially the more you look into it. One, of course, you have Hideo Kojima, which is interested in cloud-based games, and we do already know that. But then also you have Phil Spencer, which has a tendency of hinting at some of their upcoming deals and different games through some things in the background of his videos or even with his t-shirts. And in this case, we've seen in several of his videos on his shelf in the background the big Xbox logo next to the Kojima Studios statue. It does seem like that he is hinting at something here, and by all means he absolutely should be, because this would be a huge get for Xbox. Hideo Kojima is well known within the PlayStation community, and if he can get somebody as talented as Hideo Kojima to work on some kind of exclusive game, whether it's for Xbox or xCloud, that would be a big get. And that right there is the next thing, because obviously Xbox has xCloud. Microsoft really believes in the future of xCloud, and if you want to sell a service like this, having a developer as talented as Hideo Kojima make a game for it, that's going to draw a lot of attention throughout the community. So yeah, on paper, all of this makes sense for both Kojima Studios as well as Xbox. Xbox needs talent to sell their service, and Hideo Kojima needs a service to sell his game. So it really just seems like a partnership meant to be for whatever this episodic horror-based game is, if that indeed is what he is working on. But that's also the other interesting thing here, because he does reveal that he is working on 2 different games. So even if you're not interested in a cloud-based project, he might be working on a more traditional game as well. So I think that if you're a fan of Hideo Kojima, this is the best possible news that you could hear right here, as it sounds like he's got a lot going on right now. Moving on, though, we do have yet another leak to talk about today, this time for Sonic Frontiers. Now, yesterday we did talk about God of War Ragnarok, as it looks like the release date for that game might have leaked out online. I believe it's actually a placeholder, but it could still signify the release window, which we went over yesterday. But it looks like that leak has continued on, as Sonic Frontiers release date possibly leaked out online as well. This is according to PlayStation Database, in which PlayStation Game Size did look into the API, discovering that Sonic Frontiers might be releasing on November 15th of 2022. Now, keep in mind that this could just be a placeholder, though this one actually makes quite a bit of sense. The reason I say that is because it's already been revealed that Sonic Frontiers will release in holiday of 2022. So it releasing in the month of November wouldn't be earth-shattering or anything, but I do find it interesting that we do have a specific date here being the 15th. That is very specific, but again, I think that it is highly plausible that it would be a Tuesday release, which does make a lot of sense. We'll kind of see about all of this, but because there's not any official confirmation, I would take this with a grain of salt. I think that there is a good chance that internally they want to release it possibly on November 15th, but at the same time, especially with the way development has been working over the last couple years and how all of these studios are working from home, nothing is really set in stone either. Everything is just kind of fluid. I think the most important thing here is, regardless of when Sonic Frontiers releases, just make sure this game is good right out of the gate. Sonic over the last decade or so has just been very mixed in terms of reception, especially when it comes to these 3D outings. Even this year with the Sonic Colors remaster, I felt like that this is a game that they couldn't possibly mess up, because this is a game that has already been well received in the past, and it's just a remaster. But then they push it out, and it had a ton of problems right out of the gate. So Team Sonic just has to do a better job, and with Sonic Frontiers being as ambitious as it is, a lot of people are kind of comparing this one to Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is a game that they cannot miss on. They have got to get this one right. It does seem like there's a lot of fans that are really hopeful and anticipated for this specific title, so they needed to do a good job with this one and knock it out of the park. Quality has got to come first, so I guess regardless of when this game releases, I'm just really hoping that this one is a good entry to the Sonic franchise. Now, speaking of Sonic though, let's just go take a look at the poll of the day here, where I asked you all, are you excited about Sonic Frontiers going for an open world style of game? This is a big change for the Sonic franchise, but is it the right move? And that's kind of the question here. And well, interestingly enough, if you take a look here at the results, most of you all are excited about that open world style, with 54% of you saying yes, while 31% of you said no. So again, it does seem like there's a lot of interest in this more ambitious style of Sonic game. This is certainly a change, but if they do it right, and that is kind of the question, but if they do it right, then yeah, there's a lot of potential in an open world Sonic game. We saw that happen with Zelda Breath of the Wild, where they switched it over to this more open world style of game. And while I personally still like the classic Zelda games more, you can't really argue with the amount of success that this game had. It just seems like open world games appeal to a lot of players, and while Breath of the Wild went into the next level in terms of success, that game sold over 20 million copies and it's still selling today. So the potential is certainly there, but that's kind of always the thing when it comes to me. I've said this several times in the past, and I'm going to say it again here. I don't necessarily believe that open world automatically means better. In a lot of situations, I think that that's the exact opposite, actually. I mean, if done right, you can make an absolutely excellent game that is just completely engrossing with its world, its story, its gameplay, and just everything. But I feel like in a lot of situations, these games also lose focus, and that hurts the story, the flow, the gameplay, and so on and so forth. So I think for myself, I'm kind of going to go into this optimistic, but I'm also going to be cautious at the same time. I think for myself, I'm going to have to wait and see the gameplay before I get too excited about this one, but for the time being, I'm going to remain optimistic and hopeful that this will reach its potential, because I do think that there's a lot of potential here. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.